At the beginning of the story, we see a high school student writing her name and birthday on the wall of a room. She then records a video on her phone, tearfully declaring that if you write your name and birthday and make a wish, it will come true. She then says, "I wish for all of you to die." This girl was not joking. She made this wish with a genuine heartfelt anguish. After saying this, she slit her own throat with her own hands. Who is this girl, and what drove her to this point? We will find out why she made such a terrible decision a little later. We then move to a scene set several years later, where a girl named Saya is getting ready for school as usual. Saya is a highly talented athlete who lives with her aunt, as her parents died when she was a child. On the floor above hers lies a boy named Konu, who is in her class and is also her boyfriend. The two of them go to school together every day. Along the way, they meet up with their friends, among them Nari, a wealthy girl who has feelings for Konu but cannot bring herself to speak to him. Classic tragedy. She lives one floor away from opportunity and still can't manage a sentence. Then there is Choi, who tends to fall behind in his studies and acts in a rather childish manner, which is why Nari has little patience for him. The rest of the group, however, treats him like a younger brother. There is also another close friend named Hajun, who is a tech genius. So when Choi's laptop stopped working, the first thing he did was tell Hajun, "My laptop is broken, please fix it." Just then, the teacher entered the class and announced that the test results were in and that the top two scorers were both from their class. As always, Hajun came first and everyone applauded. The second highest score, however, turned out to be Choi's. The entire class was astonished, and Choi himself was perhaps the most surprised of all, since he had always ranked last. So at lunch, his friends pressed him, "Tell us the truth, did you cheat on the exam?" He then told them about an app called Girigo, claiming it could grant wishes. Not everyone bought into his story, but Konu still searched for it on the Play Store. Choi told him it was not available there, and instead sent everyone the download link. Konu, in a moment of curiosity, downloaded it, and the instant it was installed, his phone's front camera turned on by itself. Choi then explained that Konu needed to write his name and date of birth on a piece of paper, record his wish, and after some time, the wish would be granted. "I had made a wish to top the exam, and look how that turned out," said Choi. Everyone laughed it off as nonsense and went their separate ways. The moment they left, a timer appeared on Choi's phone. He assumed it was a countdown to when he could make his next wish. Choi's birthday was only a few days away, and everyone was planning a surprise for him, everyone except Nari, who was entirely unenthused. She told Saya that Choi was insufferable. "Why do you all put up with his antics?" She was still mid-complaint when Choi himself walked in. Nari quickly improvised. "We were just discussing how to surprise you on your birthday." Choi was overjoyed. Later, we see Saya practicing her long jump. She is a gifted athlete and performs well. But another teammate stumbles during a running drill, and the coach warns that anyone not improving will be cut from the team. Saya steps in with some encouragement. That evening, the coach tells Saya she has been selected for the national team and will need to attend special training on weekends. Saya says she will give it everything she has. Meanwhile, Choi receives what he believes is a call from Saya, but the voice on the line is talking to others about how they should not bother going to his birthday. "We shouldn't waste our time on that idiot's party," the voice says. Choi was deeply hurt. He hung up immediately, then called back to confirm what he had heard, but Saya's phone was inside her locker. She was out practicing. The call had not come from her at all. That evening, Saya met Konu and shared her good news about the national team. They celebrated with a chicken dinner at her house. It was there that Saya noticed Choi had called her multiple times. She rang him back, and he replied in a dejected voice, "You called earlier, and are you really not coming to my birthday?" Saya replied that she had special training coming up and could not make it. Choi hung up without another word. Saya was puzzled. How did he already know she wasn't coming? Later, Konu wrote his name and date of birth on a piece of paper and made a wish on the Girigo app. "May Saya's training this week be cancelled." They were treating it entirely as a joke. The very next day, as they headed to school, none of their friends were anywhere to be found, neither Nari nor Choi. At school, Saya found Choi slumped over his desk, head down, clutching his phone tightly and staring in terror at something in the corner of the room that no one else could see. The timer on his phone had only 3 minutes remaining. Suddenly, something horrifying began to happen. His body started to stiffen. He pulled out a blade and began trying to harm himself. Everyone tried to stop him, but he shouted at them to get away, his eyes fixed on something invisible. When the timer finally ran out, Choi slit his own throat with his own hands, just as the girl in the opening had done. Saya desperately tried to stop the bleeding, but it was already too late. It was now clear how the curse worked. Once a wish is made, a timer begins, and when the timer runs out, the person who made the wish dies. Saya was then flooded with memories of when her parents died, of when she first transferred to this school and the other children had been unkind, and of how 4 classmates had come to her side and eventually became her closest friends. Today, one of those friends had died right in front of her. The grief was visible on every face. Honu broke down in tears. When Saya met her coach afterward, the coach gently told her to go home and rest. Training could wait. Saya suddenly remembered Konu's wish for her training to be cancelled, and the pieces clicked into place. The wish had come true. Terrified, she begged the coach not to cancel and insisted she was fine. At that very moment, a heavy piece of metal fell from the ceiling. Both of them narrowly escaped. Meanwhile, a notification appeared on Konu's phone. His wish had been fulfilled. Saya ran to him immediately and asked if there was a timer on his phone. There was a 24-hour countdown had begun. Whatever skepticism skepticism remained about the app vanished entirely. Hajun removed the SIM card from Konu's phone in an attempt to stop the timer, then performed a full reset. They suspected someone had hacked the phone to trigger all of this, but Saya asked how anyone could hack a phone and use it to take someone's life. Meanwhile, Neri still refused to believe that Choi had died because of an app, and she directed her frustration at Saya. Saya tried to calm her down, saying, "We are all scared. I lost my parents and now a friend. I cannot lose anyone else." When Hajun restarted the phone, the app was still there. The timer had not stopped. Konu suggested they simply smash the phone. Hajun said that would probably do nothing. He needed to understand the technical structure of the app first. Saya said they would all meet at her house that evening. While Konu was resting at home, he received what seemed like a call from Saya, but the voice was saying horrible things about him. He rushed to her house and told her, "Someone is speaking on the phone using your voice." But by then, the call had disconnected. He put his phone in the refrigerator, apparently hoping that cold storage was the solution to supernatural possession, and explained that his phone had been hacked. He knew it could not have been the real Saya, because she could never say such things. Saya then recalled that she had visited Choi's house with a gift to apologize for missing his birthday, and Choi had told her something similar had been happening to him. Someone was speaking in Saya's voice on his phone as well. That evening, everyone gathered at Saya's house. Hajun connected Konu's phone to his laptop and wiped all of its data. It took some time, and everyone anxiously watched the timer. Then Konu's eye began to burn. He scratched at it furiously until it turned red. He began staring at something in the room, trembling. He pointed and told everyone to look. For reasons no one could explain, a wave of dread washed over the room. Without warning, Konu's hand began moving on its own toward his own eyes. He had seen the spirit. His condition deteriorated rapidly. Blood began seeping from his eyes and mouth. Saya called an ambulance. Hajun tried to keep Konu calm, but the spirit had taken hold of him. He stabbed Saya, then grabbed Hajun by the neck and lifted him off the ground. Neri recorded everything from a safe distance. Truly dedicated to the footage. Just as Konu was about to bring Hajun down, Saya grabbed a laptop and struck Konu on the head, knocking him unconscious. At the hospital, the doctors assumed it was the laptop blow that had rendered him unconscious, which, to be fair, was not entirely inaccurate. Saya's aunt happened to be a doctor at the hospital and reassured her, "Don't worry, I will look after Konu personally." Neri asked Saya if she needed anything brought from home. Saya said her aunt had already brought what she needed, but that Nari's bag was at her house and gave her the door password, which was her birth date, so Nari could collect it whenever she wished. Meanwhile, Hajun was trying to research the app when his sister called. She told him they had awakened a spirit. Hajun's sister, it turned out, was a shaman, a person who works with powerful spiritual forces. She explained that a curse had been embedded in the app and was actively spreading. She needed him to come to her immediately, as she could not leave her location. At the hospital, Konu's condition worsened rapidly. In desperation, Saya installed the Girigo app and made a wish for his recovery. Hajun rushed to the hospital to stop her. His sister had warned him, but Saya had already made the wish. A 24-hour timer appeared on her phone. Saya told Hajun that everyone who makes a wish on the app can see an invisible presence afterwards, something that had appeared both at school and at her home. She needed to see it clearly so she could understand what it was. Just then, Konu regained consciousness and his condition immediately stabilized, and the timer on Saya's phone began its countdown. Hajun said they had to go to his sister right away. She was the only one who could help them. Saya pointed out that he had always claimed his sister lived abroad. Hajun admitted that was not true. He had been too embarrassed to explain that she had walked away from a perfectly respectable career to become a shaman, a decision that was, in this precise moment, about to prove extraordinarily useful. The two set off for Hajun's sister's home, deep inside a dense forest with no proper road leading to it. When they arrived at the gate, Hajun explained that a man named Kim guarded the house and had never once permitted Hajun to visit inside, nor allowed his sister to come out, insisting that if she ever left, she would die. Kim opened the gate when he saw them, and the moment he spotted Hajun, he called him his future brother-in-law, which made Hajun visibly uncomfortable. As Kim led them inside, Saya's phone rang. It was Konu, fully recovered, asking where she was and offering to come to her. She was about to tell him when Hajun's sister, Sohee, appeared and shouted at Saya not to answer. In that moment, the spirit seized its opportunity. Saya's body went rigid, and within seconds, she had been fully possessed. Sohee managed to pull her back and immediately began preparing the exorcism ritual. She seated Hajun in a separate room and told him not to come out until Kim called for him. Sohee then began the ritual. She bound her wrist to Saya's with a thread and through her practice transported both of them into the spirit's cursed realm. There Saya's eyes opened and Sohee was beside her. "Do not be afraid," Sohee said. "You are now inside the spirit's cursed world. To get out, you must pass through 3 doors with me." In the real world, Kim lit an incense stick to open the first door, causing strong winds to rise. He drew a line around the area with his sacred knife and the wind stilled. Inside the cursed realm, Sohee instructed Saya, "Once you pass through a door, do not look back. If you do, the spirit will see me, and the doors I have opened will vanish. I have tied a protective thread around your wrist, but even so, you must walk through each door alone. It will not be easy." Saya stepped through the first door and arrived inside her school, dark, silent, and empty except for her. She switched on a torch and moved forward, reminding herself above all not to look back. Then then she saw Choi, covered in blood, and the scene that had unfolded in the classroom began to replay before her. The spirit was using Choi's body to reenact the moment of his death, but here Choi kept repeating the same words. Save me. I don't want to die. Saya, terrified, tried to open a window only to find her own face staring back at her from every floor outside. There was no way out. Then Choi moved toward her and began cutting his throat. But Saya understood this was not really Choi. The spirit was trying to break her. She controlled her fear, ran, and everything dissolved. The path to the second door appeared. Kim lit another incense stick. This time, Saya arrived on a road where a car accident had taken place. Drawing closer, she recognized the car. It was her father's. She remembered years ago, traveling with her parents, they had been in an accident. Her parents had not survived. She had. Now she stood before their bodies and broke down in tears. But she knew what this was. She forced herself to keep walking. Then her mother's hand reached out and grabbed her ankle, holding her back. Her mother spoke to her in a voice full of warmth and love. Sohee's voice broke through from somewhere beyond. Keep moving. We are out of time. The gate is about to close. In the real world, Kim told Sohee he was pulling her out. There was nothing more to do. Sohee said that if she had to, she would remove her mask to help Saya, though. Doing so would trap Sohee herself in the cursed world. But Saya heard Sohee's voice, refused to yield to her mother's plea, and ran toward the gate. The moment she passed through, her eyes snapped open. Kim and Hajun were sitting in front of her, saying they were so relieved she had made it back. Saya began to believe she had escaped until she heard Sohei's voice telling her that this was, in fact, the third door. She was still inside. The figures posing as Kim and Hajun urged her to look behind her, claiming the spirit had followed her, and that Sohee's life would be in danger if she did not. But Sohee's voice warned, do not listen to them. I am not there. Do not look back. The figures were terrifyingly convincing. Then one of them began showing the same symptoms Konu had shown when he was possessed. Saya thought, how can you see the spirit too? The figure claiming to be Hajun said, I made a wish to save you. Now I can see it as well. Unable to bear the thought of him suffering, Saya looked back. The spirit immediately found Sohei. The thread binding their wrists snapped. Blood began pouring from Sohei's mouth. Kim threw open the third door. Inside, Saya found herself in a pitch-dark place, saturated with blood on all sides. As she moved forward, blood-soaked bodies began hanging from the ceiling all around her. Then blood started flowing from her own nose. The broken thread had connected her directly to the spirit. Sohei arrived at the last possible moment, broke the remaining thread, and pulled Saya back to her senses. She grabbed her and ran toward the gate. The spirit attacked. Sohei shielded her. They crossed the gate and returned to the real world, and the timer on Saya's phone stopped. Sohei explained that the danger was not fully over. The thread connecting them to that world had been severed, but to end the curse permanently, its origin had to be destroyed. She used her power to heal her own wound. A white serpent appeared and sealed it closed, which is apparently an entirely standard part of a shaman's first aid routine. At the hospital, Neri arrived, and the doctor told her Konu was stable and she could visit him. Neri showed him the video she had recorded of the night he was possessed. Meanwhile, Sohei explained to everyone, the app was the work of a cursed spirit consumed by a desire for revenge. To break the curse, they needed to find and destroy whatever had first given rise to it. She also told Saya that the phone she had glimpsed in the third door, the one the thread had connected to, needed to be found and brought to her. Only Saya could do it because she was the one tied to that world. That night, as Saya slept, blood began to rain down on her. She jolted awake to find a schoolgirl with a slit throat standing before her. The apparition moved slowly towards Saya, then pointed behind her. When Saya turned, a second girl lunged at her, and then Saya's eyes flew open. She was lying in bed, Sohei seated across from her. It had been a dream, but it had also been real. She told Sohei about the two figures, one in front, one behind, and the terror of it. Sohei understood then that there were two spirits behind this curse, not one. After this, Saya set off with Kim and Hajun to uncover the truth. Before they left, Sohei tied a thread around Saya's wrist and said, as long as it remains intact, she is protected. But if it breaks, she must return immediately. Kim assured everyone that no harm would come to the children while he was with them. The reason Sohei could not leave the house, something only Kim knew, was not explained to the others. But Kim made a private promise to Hajun. He would do whatever was necessary to one day free his sister. They began their investigation with Choi's laptop, hoping to trace where he had first heard about the app. They found that on the night before the exam, Choi had been heavily active on Discord, a social platform. While going through his account, an incoming call came from an unknown boy. Hajun answered but muted the microphone and typed back as Choi, saying he had been busy studying. The boy replied that everyone had been saying Choi was dead, then told him the item Choi had requested had been found, and that they should meet in an hour at their usual spot. Then he hung up. The group had no idea where the usual spot was. Hajun traced Choi's most frequently visited location through his Google account, and they made their way there. At the hospital, meanwhile, Honu had fully recovered and went directly to Saya's house. He found Neri already there, claiming she had only come to collect some things for Saya, though she appeared noticeably unsettled. Konu began searching for his phone. Even after turning the entire house over, he could not find it. What the others did not know was that on the night Saya had shared her door password with Nari Nari had come back and taken Konu's phone. What she was hiding and why would become clear a little later. With no phone available, Konu borrowed Nari's to re-watch the recording from that night, hoping his phone might be visible somewhere in the background. He found nothing. When the unknown boy arrived at the meeting point, Kim went alone to intercept him. But the boy broke free and ran. Saya, who was an exceptional runner, gave chase on her own and caught him. She demanded to know about the pills Choi had been taking. The boy insisted he was not a drug dealer, they were just stress relief tablets. Saya then accused him of sending Choi the app link, knowing it would kill him. The boy was frightened. He explained that Choi had already come across a post about the app himself, a post written as a ghost story about their school, claiming the curse had been placed years ago by the daughter of a shaman who had once attended the school. He swore he had not known any of it was real. The post had included a photograph of two girls named Shivon and Hyeryong. He said the whole school had known the story. Hajun dug through the cached memory on Choi's laptop and found the photograph. The boy confirmed that the girl on the left was Shivon and the one on the right was Hyeryong, the shaman's daughter. They asked if he knew the shaman's address. He said he knew the general area but not the specific house. They set off to find it. Saya also remembered that in her dream she had seen two girls and wondered whether they might be connected to the ones in the photograph. When they reached the area, Kim told Saya and Hajun to look for a house with a particular kind of flag displayed above it and warned them not to go inside on their own. They were to call him first. They searched thoroughly. Despite their best efforts, no such house could be found. Night fell slowly and exhaustion began to set in. They stopped at a nearby shop. The owner took one look at Kim's expression and briefly wondered whether a debt collector had arrived. Kim asked if she knew of a well-known shaman who had lived in the area with her daughter. The elderly woman asked if they were friends of the daughter, then looked at the photograph they showed her and told them something surprising. The shaman's daughter was the girl on the left, Shivon, not Hyeryong, as they had assumed. Everything they thought they knew shifted. They bought salt from the shop and made their way to the house. The gate was padlocked from the outside. Kim broke it open, entered alone, and checked for any dark presence before allowing the others inside. The house had been sealed and abandoned for years, and its state showed it. As Kim moved deeper inside, the device he carried, one designed to detect spiritual presences, began to signal. He positioned Saya and Hajun together and drew a circle of salt around them for protection. He told them if he was not back within 10 minutes, they were to run to the car and remain there until sunrise. He went in and searched carefully, but found nothing of use until he discovered a wall that looked different from the others. Behind it was a hidden door. He opened it and found a room filled with strange objects, numerous figures and effigies used in ritual practice, and at the center, a coat containing strands of hair that had clearly been subjected to some kind of enchantment. The atmosphere was deeply unsettling. Outside, Saya suddenly saw the apparition of the schoolgirl again, the one with the slit throat, and it seemed as though the spirit was trying to lead her somewhere. Saya followed, though Hajun could see nothing. The spirit moved to a corner and began pointing at the ground. When Saya looked, she found a school uniform and a photograph of the same two girls. She told Kim immediately, and together they relayed everything to Sohai. Looking at the state of the house and the items discovered, Sohai could not yet determine whether they had been used to protect or to curse someone, but they were getting closer. Then Hajun had an idea. He examined the metadata from Konu's wish recording video and discovered that all wish videos were being sent to a single server, one accessible only through authorized user IDs. When Saya looked at the server's interface, she recognized it. She had seen that same interface on her school coach's computer. They decided to go to the school that night. Once inside, Hajun asked Saya which of the two girls from the photograph had appeared to help her. She said she could not remember precisely, but the girl had clearly been guiding her, which was how they had found the photograph in the first place. Saya and Hajun went inside the building, leaving Kim outside as their excuse if they were caught. They made their way to the coach's room and accessed the school server. Scrolling through the wish recordings, they found one that stopped them cold. In it, a woman makes a wish for that idiot Choi to die. Saya stared at it in disbelief, then asked the question that changed everything. If she made this wish, how is she still alive? It had been well over 24 hours since the recording was made, and she had not died. This is a question that demands an answer. Will they break the curse and survive, or will the spirit claim them all before they can find the truth? All of this will be revealed in the second part, coming very soon. Thanks for watching this recap. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to comment below and tell me what else movie or series you want me to recap next.